in this video, you will see that we have all these images of the different Hangman pictures, as well as, if I go to design, we'll see this better. This is where the letters are going to show up for wrong guesses. So just quickly for my Hangman pictures, in design, they are called image 0, which is basically the starting image. And then 1 through 6 are going to go with the number that are wrong. And then the wrong letter 1 through 6. Now I started these with 1 because they start when the wrong number value is equal to 1, not 0. So that's why I kind of have this as 1 through 6. And really this is 1 through 6. 0 is just the starting image when you first push the run button. So the first thing I'm going to do is work on making these show. And all of that happens in this section when you get something wrong. So first off, though, the starting image that shows up, if we go back to design and I go to image 0, that's not hidden. So you can see that when you run it. Image 6 is hidden. All the other images are hidden. So right now, if I press run, we see the empty Hangman screen here. We don't see any of these. So here, all we really need to do, actually above number wrong plus equals 1, I'm going to hide the current image. So right now, before I increase wrong is set to 0, num wrong is set to 0. So I'm going to hide element. And we are going to hide image 0. So I'm going to do image plus num wrong. So that should hide image 0 because right now num wrong is 0. Now after it increases by 1, I'm going to show element. I want to show the first element the first time, the second element when wrong is 2. So I'm going to do another image plus num wrong. So this is just kind of a little tricky way that we're going to hide the one it's on, and then after we increase wrong, we're going to show the next one. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to set the text of, just have to remember the name, wrong letter, plus I. So we're going to set its text to letter choice because that's what we're on. So whatever letter they chose that ended up being wrong, we are going to show that. Now, none of these are hidden. If I go back to design and click on wrong letter, none of them are hidden. They're just blank right now, so we can't really see them. So just to recap, if we didn't find the letter, we're going to hide the current Hangman picture, increase number wrong. We're going to set this text. Then we're going to show the new image for the new number wrong. And we're going to set the text of the letter choice to the thing that we guessed. So let's just see how that's working. So I see curve. I'm going to try something wrong first. So D. And we see this switched over to having a head and the letter D showed up. So I know not to guess that again. Maybe I guess Z. Now we have a body and it's showing the letter Z. Now for some reason, my D disappeared. So we do need to figure out that in a second. Let's just try another one. Okay, so it seems like this part is not changing correctly, and that's because I used I instead of num wrong. So the I value is whatever it is, maybe it's 0 right now or whatever value. Actually, I think it's 6. It's actually at the end of this for loop, or in this case, I guess 4, right? Because it ends right when it's before. I don't even know. I don't know what the value of I is, but that's not what I want. I want num wrong. So later when I'm not making a video, I'll kind of figure out what's going on there. So let's try that again. Now our word is loyal. So I'm going to guess F. This is where I want it to show up. That's wrong. I'm going to guess D. The D shows up and I get the next Hangman picture. And I'm just going to go through. I am going to guess some letters right. So there's my L's. We notice it didn't change and no new letters showed up. That's what I want. But now I'm going to guess some wrong letters. And ultimately, at this point where I enter the last wrong letter, I see the full Hangman picture. my 6 letters that I've guessed wrong, and my guesses left are 0. So the next thing we're going to work on is managing that. I do see I have some yellow triangles, so I'm just going to add some semicolons here. And once again, I is often something we put after these UI elements, but here num wrong is controlling which one I'm working with and not something in a for loop, which is why I changed that. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to create an end game function. So basically, the two ways that the game ends is either the number right is 5 or the number wrong is 6. So I'm actually going to create a function down here. And I'm going to call it end game. I'm going to write this function starting with a parameter, which we haven't done yet. And I'm going to call that guesses allowed. Or actually, what did I call it here? I called it chances. So I'm going to call it chances again, because that's the same type of idea, like how many chances am I going to give someone in their guesses. Now, the things that I want to happen, first we need to test when it's done. Okay, so the way we win is if num right equals 5. Then I'm basically just going to set the text of this guesses left. Let me just reset of guesses left. So I'm using this also as an output. And I'm going to set it to U1. Now, if I run this, this looks kind of short to show the whole U1. So I'm also going to make this a little longer using a set property. So I'm going to set the property of guesses left, and specifically I need it to be wider. So the width to 100. So that's if I get num right. That's the one way the game will end. We're not going to do anything else crazy with it. We're not going to reset anything. We're going to have a reset button. It's just basically going to say you won. Once you'll see the word full, but it's going to give a little message. Now, the other way that the game could end, I'm going to do an else if. And that's if num wrong. Now, we know we're running our game with 6 chances. But just so I can change it up later, if I want to give more or less chances, I'm saying num wrong equals chances, and then we can call end game 6 to plug that in. This is going to be really similar, so I'm going to copy this. Also, I think this is, if we go here, this has a width of 40 right now. So to fit the you lost that we're going to do, we'll put a sad face, and we're going to set that also to 100. Some semicolons going here. So those are the two ways. If we get up to 5 or num wrong equals chances, which we're going to, when we call the function, we'll call it with 6, that's going to end the game. Now, where do I want to run check end game? Basically, each time after they guess, it's all going to happen in here. We're going to run end game. I'm actually going to change this to check end game because I think that gives a better idea that we're checking to see if we should end the game. We're going to end the game when we get 6 wrong guesses. Now, some funky things can happen here. Part of this game that I've decided not to code is like stopping it so you can't enter more letters or anything like that. I'm going to have a reset screen, but let's just run this and see if it works in each direction. So my new word is prior. I'm just going to quickly run this to see if the working. I am going to guess a couple things wrong just to make sure the other stuff's working. But now when I guess the O, I should see U1 here. And I do. Because it's counted that all 5 letters have been gotten correctly, so it says U1. So now I'm going to reset. And my word is drama, so I'm just going to go across the top of my keyboard. If I hit a letter, that's great. So when I hit this next letter, I should see you lost, and I should see that Hangman finished, and it does say you lost. Now, if I entered another letter, okay, we get a -1. We have some issues. We're not going to control for that in this game. That's something you could do as an add-on if we were making this game go further.